Good morning, this is Carl Danbacker with Gold Rush News. We're privileged to have Congressman Tom McClintock with us at 2Care's 14th Annual Summit. Congressman McClintock, please give us the most shocking piece of information today. 2 to 3 billion acre feet, is that correct?
No, 23 billion gallons.
23 billion gallons.
70,000 acre feet. An acre foot is 1 acre of water 1 foot high. So think of a column of water that spans an acre and it's 70,000 feet tall. That's how much water was released in 2 weeks in April from the American and Stanislaus rivers for the sole purpose of adjusting the water temperature so that it's just right for the fish. This is the remaining water behind our dams, knowing that we are in the worst drought in our recorded history, knowing that the snowpack was gone, knowing that all we've got behind those dams is what we've got to live on until the next rain season comes, knowing all of that. They wantonly released 70,000 acre feet of water for the amusement of the fish. Now, 70,000 acre feet is enough to meet the annual water needs of a population of 500,000 people.
Most of all of the 4th Congressional District, or a lot of it, if you could say.
Well, yeah, probably about half of the entire, more than half of the entire Congressional District. Their water needs for a whole year is what we flushed into the American and Stanislaus rivers in April. Just so that we could get the temperatures just right for the fish. That is lunacy.
Well, sir, it sounds like that fish first is really their thought,
and
not
it's going,
people first.
And it continues to go on.
And it's getting worse.
Just the past several weeks, we saw a 50,000 acre foot release out of the Klamath River for the same purpose, to keep the fish happy. At a time of extreme drought, where people are losing their jobs, where people are being fined $500 for wasting a gallon of their water on their lawn on the wrong day.
Yes.
And yet this government flushes 23 billion gallons of water into the ocean for the fish.
So, as an average citizen in our region, what can we do?
First and foremost, get educated and get mad.
Okay.
This is lunacy. And it has to stop. And it's lunacy that's being done in our names with our permission as voters, because we elected these people, they made these laws, and now they are abusing them to the point that the little water that remains behind our dams is being squandered on such projects as temperature control for rivers.
So we have Prop 1 coming up in less than 30 days, roughly. What would you say to your congressional district we should do?
Well, I support it. It is $7.5 billion, of which $2.7 billion will actually go to water storage. Now, I know that sounds underwhelming, but given the state legislature that we have today, that's the best we can do, and it is $2.7 billion more money for water storage than we've had in so many of the multi-billion-dollar water bonds that have come before. So it's a step away from the ridiculous policies of rationing and shortage, and beginning to step back toward the age of abundance that was our water objective just a generation ago.
So there's never been a more emergency than we have right now, because we need to save our source, spend on storage. If anything, push back on these insane legislative pieces.
The bottom line is, droughts are nature's fault, but water shortages are our fault.
And that's our responsibility.
We've not built a major dam in this state since the New Melones in 1979. And we're not going to solve our water shortage until we begin building more dams. And we're not going to build more dams until we overhaul the radical environmental laws that are making their construction impossible.
Which is the Endangered Species Act we were talking about.
A number of them. And it doesn't mean repealing it. It means restoring common sense alternatives to it. For example, why don't we allow fish hatcheries to meet the population counts required by the Endangered Species Act? Why don't we include such sensible measures as simply I lost my train of thought there. Why don't we such sensible measures as controlling non-native predators?
Right.
There's plenty we can do.
Yes, but it looks at the APA, the effect that it has on the Endangered Species Act, all the way down now to currently, just to summarize, Governor Brown just signed, I believe, an executive order, a blending of 3 different pieces of legislation before the election. Can you just give us a brief comment on how that's going to affect the bond issue in November 4th?
Well, yeah, I don't know how it's going to affect the bond issue, and But I can tell you this, at the federal level, we're watching huge overreaches of the Environmental Protection Agency,
Okay.
which currently has jurisdiction over navigable waters. Pretty simple definition.
that language is being
If
changed,
there's
right?
commerce on that water, it's under the jurisdiction of the EPA. That's a statutory power given to it by the Congress. They are now going around to unilaterally change the statutory authorization, not by coming back to Congress, but simply by mandating it by fiat, that they also will take control of all waters connected to navigable waters. Which means if you've got a drainage ditch running down your driveway that goes into a gutter, that goes into a storm drain, that goes into a creek, that goes into a stream, that goes into a tributary that eventually ends up in a navigable water, the EPA is now claiming jurisdiction over that drainage ditch. This is an outrageous abuse of the Constitution. They do not have the authority to change the statutory terms of their own agency, but they're trying to do it anyway by executive order. And the catastrophic impact that would have in regions such as ours, it should be self-evident.
Congressman,
Carl,
we thank you for representing our region.
thank you very
God bless
much.
you. Thank you for coming
Thank
today.
you very much.
Carl Danbacker, Gold Rush News with Congressman McClintock. Thank you for joining us.